Hello everybody and welcome to PAY360. My name is Tyler Pay. I'm a journalist here at the FinTech Times. We are here at day 2 of the conference and I'm very happy to be joined this morning by Samuel Flynn. Sam, how are you?
I'm all good, thank you.
Thank you. Well, what do you make of day 2 of the conference so far?
A bit quieter. Obviously, me and you have just got here. It's only 9:30, so we'll have to see what the rest of the day brings. But yesterday was good. Good to catch up with a lot of familiar faces and equally net new business as well.
Fantastic. Well, before we get into our conversation, we're going to be talking a little bit about your company and what you're doing at the moment, all very exciting things. Why don't you give our audience just a little bit of insight into who you are and what Hands In does?
Yep, so I'm the chief exec and co-founder of Hands In. We provide group payment services for online travel agencies, airlines, ticketing platforms, but also PSP aggregators. We sell a hero product of ours right now, which is essentially a group checkout solution. The way I would describe it, if, for example, let's say 4 of us were to go on holiday today, in that process, one person is typically designated the lead booker. So it's, say, in that case, my responsibility to organise and manage the entire aspect of the group payment. But as we know, for Gen Z and millennials, travel is incredibly expensive. So when it comes time to do the payment, typically most payment methods restrict me to upfront that payment at checkout. Or if I'm going to use a credit card, my credit card limit, because I'm a Gen Z or millennial, is relatively low. So how in the hell are we able to afford this all at once? What we do is slightly different. It's through a simple API that connects with the existing gateway and acquiring infrastructure. Is enable, in that case, myself to select Hands In as a payment option. It'll be completely white labeled in the checkout flow. We will then give the customer the ability to split the transaction, whether it be equally, so say it's $400, that's 4 people, and split it that way, with each item in the cart, so imagine airline tickets, or paying with custom amounts, and then share the link through services like a link share going into a WhatsApp group chat, text message, email, or QR code, and everyone joins the link and pays together simultaneously. So the main mission of our business is to drive incremental sales and volume for all the markets we work in, by reducing purchase friction for group customers.
Fantastic. That sounds like a really interesting proposition that you're putting forward.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind bringing the company to life?
Well, it actually started from when I was a university student. So I was moving into a flat with all of my friends, and I noticed everyone was buying pots, pans, kitchen utensils all separately. And me being a bit of a party boy at the time, wanting to save some money, genuinely, this is kind of what I was thinking. I was like, why can't we just buy this all in bulk and just split it? And sort of the common conversation would be, Sam, I don't want to do that, because if I'm the person to pay it up front on one card, when am I going to get my money back? And I'm going to have to chase and hassle you down for the money that's owed. And then sort of me thinking about it and time going on, I remember one night we were ordering some pizzas, watching the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. And there's a bunch of us there, and it was on Deliveroo, and everyone was like, okay, right, who wants a pizza? Yep. Then it goes time to pay, everyone goes like that. Everyone runs away in terms of not wanting to pay because of the same reason. And then when it got to travel, because the basket value is obviously so high, I saw people genuinely turning away from going to group-related excursions for travel. It really sort of, from there, it inspired me to go and talk to my university and say, look, I think there's a really big problem here and I think I've got a good idea on how to solve it. And then they put me in contact at an enterprise centre at the university with an online travel agency in the local area. And I spoke with them and they were like, look, Sam, we know this is a problem, but we don't want to build it because it's sitting on top of complex legacy infrastructure. We'd likely go to our PSP to build it for us. I was like, okay. So I went to the PSP and the PSP was like, yep, Sam, we know this is a problem, but again, we probably wouldn't build it ourselves because we're building on top of complex legacy infrastructure. We've got a massive roadmap of X, Y, and Z at the moment. So I was like, customers clearly have this problem. OTAs and other merchants don't want to build it, nor do the PSPs. Why don't we be the system that does that, where we're gateway and acquire agnostic? Because that's incredibly important when working with OTAs and airlines. They use a bunch of different payment partners, and that's why we're here today.
And it all started with a pizza order.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Thank God for Domino's,
really, yeah, that's really interesting. But you describe sort of this sort of like reluctance from the payment service providers and merchants and perhaps more established businesses in the industry, like sort of being reluctant to engage in its initial development in the early days.
Yeah.
What benefits would the consumers or retailers see from using hands-in as a solution as opposed to using traditional payment methods?
Well, obviously right now there is no way to do group checkout. So you cannot pay together simultaneously for things online at all until us. So that's number one. But obviously, say in the current flow of someone to book, say, a group of airline tickets or something to do with travel, one person has to go through the painful experience of upfronting money and chasing everyone around for money. So we feel like that's a broken process and old-fashioned, and we want to make it sexy in the same way that Klarna has made credit cards sexy for the checkout. That's how I would describe it. And obviously for the retailers, by increasing conversions on group purchases. So we've been live for a few months now. We launched in Q4 of 2022. Our conversion rate on checkouts of above 24 hours is 100%. So this can sometimes serve groups as large as 25, 30 people. And then our conversion rate below checkout times below 24 hours is seen at 82% improvement. So it is a far more efficient methodology. So what that's going to do for the retailers by driving group conversions on checkouts is drive incremental sales and volume, as well as, if more and more groups buying, you're going to increase your average transaction values as well. So we're a volume driver for businesses, not only for online travel agencies, airlines, but also for the PSP aggregators, because we work collaboratively with them. We're also quick and easy to go live for a merchant because we're connected with their pre-existing acquiring infrastructure, and we're agnostic across all the solutions. So a merchant would simply just have to go into our account, select Adyen, WorldPay, whoever it might be, connect them in like 60 seconds flat, and boom, they just need to take the API, put it on their site and start using it. But then we're now building out relationships with the PSP aggregators to where, say if you're a worldwide merchant and you want to turn on group payments at the checkout, you simply just click one button and it goes straight into the system and it's now on your payment page. So it's very, very easy to use. But then also, what's very interesting, if you and I were to make a group payment today for say 8 people and you're paying on one card, the retailer or the PSP does not know who all of the other members are behind the payment. They just know you. With our system, when you split the transaction and when each member pays with each of their card details, we're giving the PSPs and the merchants access to all of that customer data, which is obviously going to enable them to cross-sell effectively to, imagine you're an online travel agency like a booking.com and someone buys 4 flight tickets. You want to resell them insurance, right? So yeah, there's lots of value propositions to our service, which is why we're seeing a lot of traction at the moment.
That sounds really, really fantastic to hear, and I think it's such an exciting service. I mean, you talk about it being sort of the first group checkout solution, which of course is a feat in itself. Yeah. How would you say your unique selling points differentiate from other API-led payment solutions?
Well, right now we're primarily group focused, so other API-led solutions are for the single payment market. Again, when I talk about first, we're really the first of our kind, being a group payment service for PSP aggregators, but then also for retailers. So where we focus on that niche and we have that value proposition, it's what's enabling us to sign a lot of clients and PSP aggregators at the minute. Equally, there's other consumer-facing solutions like your Monzo, your Revolut, and stuff like that. But the issue is someone still has to make the payment, right, and go through that liability process, and then have the payment split. And then you've also got consumer-based apps like Splitwise. There's no payment infrastructure embedded into those services at all. So I can just write down, you owe me £10. You can't actually send me back the money. You have to go back into your bank and send me the money. So we're very much, if there's a market map like this, we're very much here. And I think that uniqueness that we have to our proposition is what's giving us a lot of traction.
That's fantastic. You talked a lot about how you're working with your clients and you're working with different companies now to really sort of push the service forward. Obviously, there's a lot of, as you've mentioned, the benefits behind doing that. Yeah. In terms of your journey so far as a company, is there any success stories or real-world use cases that you can share that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, the where we got the 100% conversion rate for checkouts above 24 hours, we're live with a merchant called Visit Carlingford. They sell, if you're from the US, bachelor parties, bachelorette, or UK stag and hen. So we can sometimes serve packs as large, like I said, large as like 20, 25, 30 people. So there's a use case there. We've also just signed a contract with the fourth largest airline in Spain. I can't reveal the name, but go on Google and find out. But yeah, so that's very exciting, and we're in conversations with the two largest OTAs in the world, and equally many other airlines that everyone will know the names of. We've also signed another contract with a big OTA in America, and then a space tourism company in America as well. So there's so many different use cases, but I'd say where we kind of really fit is if there's a merchant that has a Gen Z millennial-led focus. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but that's really our sweet spot. And then the types of products that they're selling, the basket values are high. It obviously makes it difficult in a group scenario for one person to upfront that payment. So if you're a merchant selling, airline tickets, if you're an OTA, vacation rentals, etc., this is kind of our bread and butter. But that will just give you a short insight as to where it'll be. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised, say, if we were to sit down and do this interview in the next 18 months, you ask me where the use cases are, and I'll be able to give you, a list of 10, 15 names, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I saw it there. Oh, and I use it with my friends, so yeah.
Well, you talk about sort of the trajectory of the company.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got a very unique, very standalone offering right now that has a lot of strengths, as you've highlighted. Where do you, as the executive, see this going in those 18 months?
Yeah, I think the way we're growing at the minute, I think we'll be in prime position to do our Series A, which is very exciting. Equally, group checkout will not be the only product we build. I think buy now, pay later is very interesting, but you've never seen a buy now, pay later service for groups. No. So I like doing things that are different and are innovative, and I think that would be just as sexy as our checkout solution, where one person would initiate the payment and everyone would have an extended amount of time to pay. And that also enables us to allocate ourselves probably more into the retail market as well, which is really interesting. But outside of just groups, I think we'll do more types of split payment services. So we're currently building out a product for the airline client I mentioned, where it will enable a single customer to split a payment across multiple cards. So in areas of, say, the markets they serve, like Latin America, sometimes there's limits on card spend, right? So having the customer conveniency to pay this across two different cards will help drive conversion. Equally, in travel specifically, I think around 22% of payments fail due to one person having insufficient funds on a particular payment method. So spreading it across two different cards will help reduce that gap, as well as using our group checkout solution. Because obviously one person has to upfront, they might not have the sufficient funds to do so.
Okay. That's all very, very exciting, of course. Aside from the split payment functionality of your service, what other features might we see? I mean, you talked about buy now, pay later, but are you venturing into other avenues of making payments?
Not right now. Again, I think the split payment across multiple different cards will be the next adjacent that we'll be doing, because we'll be launching that with this client. And then I think buy now, pay later will be probably something we do at the end of this year or next year. And we're just looking at partnering with a few solutions at the moment to be able to have that infrastructure, or we're looking at potentially internally doing it ourselves. So there's a lot of different wiggle room, but right now we want to focus on what's hot. And what's hot is our group checkout solution.
And in terms of what's hot, obviously being at the conference today, there's a lot of different payment technologies on offer, on show. The whole industry is here. What are you hoping to get out of your attendance at the conference this year?
Network, obviously. That's what everyone's here to do. Meet great individuals like yourself. A lot of my advisors are here. Some of our investors are here as well. And equally some of our clients. So build on existing relationships and also find net new relationships. I think that's what the purpose of all of these events are.
Fantastic. Well, It's still early days. There's a lot to get going. So it was great to speak to you, Sam. Thank you so much for joining me here
Thank
today.
you.
And I hope we can catch up again in 18 months.
I think so, yeah.